Well, James, before we get to the football, the important stuff, how is everyone after another isolation?
Another isolation, yeah. It's we're okay. It's going to be tough because it's 30 days in 55. Never easy coming out of that sort of break. But it's the way the world is at the moment. We've got to deal with that. We've dealt with it. We've done our usual Zoom sessions the best we can. And the players have been sharp the last couple of days, so we're all itching, really excited about tomorrow's game.
I'm not to be too flippant about it, but you must be getting pretty good at this now.
I know it's disappointing, but we've got to look at it. You can look at it both ways. It's a privilege, really, because especially with the vote last night, it's a privilege still to continue and ply our trade in a world like this. So we're very fortunate, and as I said, we're looking at it positively tomorrow. It's a great game to be involved in, and it's a real challenge for us against a good opponent.
Well, Notts County have been in absolutely terrific form. What have you made of them so far?
Yeah, their structure's good. Obviously, we need to look after ourselves first and foremost, and worry about what we can bring to the game. But you always got to respect your opponent. I say that, and these are going to be a tough opponent, probably one of the best opponents I've faced so far in my tenure here. And it comes off the back of a break, so you never know. You could look at it, we're fresh, or you could say that they're on a roll. So who knows what tomorrow's going to bring.
Well, how have you found it in the last couple of times? I mean, results can say one thing, but in terms of performances and how you felt afterwards, how have you felt?
We've come out with 2 positive results. Excuse the pun. 2 wins. So third time lucky, hopefully as well.
Look, you mentioned the vote that took place, and clearly, Chesterfield wanted to carry on, and the National League will, but the North and South won't. I mean, how do you see the state of play of things at the moment?
I feel obviously really sorry for my ex employers, Gloucester, because obviously they're in a great position. So first and foremost, that's where my eye went, because I've still got an affinity there and want them to do well. Like I said when I first joined, I want them to carry on in the good form and win the league. I know Fylde were catching them and a few others were catching, but still they were top. And it's all about points on the board, and they had them. So it's difficult for them to stop at this stage, and others that were chasing them. I think it's very difficult, but it's the health and safety of everyone's and the well-being is paramount. I've said that as well from the start. If the testing's not there, then it's probably the right decision. But I don't like to have an opinion either way on that, because it's not my place. It's out of my remit. I'm just focusing on Chesterfield. But obviously, I always look out for my ex-club's results, and Gloucester are part of that decision making. So I feel sorry for them and their supporters after such a great start to the season. But we now know where the ground lies, and we've got to look forward now here. We know we're going to be playing the season, which is great for us. It's a privilege, and we've got to really enjoy it, which we are every day.
Yeah, and the way that things are looking in the National League, the majority of clubs wanted to carry on, so they will. But there were some that didn't want to play. There is at least one club that says it won't play. I mean, how's this going to affect the competition? Because there's no relegation either. The state of things in the National League looks much different than it was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah,
some difficult decisions still to make, but I think we know we're continuing. I think that's we're clear now that our league is going to continue till the end of the season. Now it's up to them, the powers to be, to decide how that works out. And who knows what Dover will do now that we know that we're playing to the end of the season. They could reverse their decision or whatever. But again, that's not anything I'm focusing too much of my energy on. All I'm focused on is we know we're gonna play these fixtures in 96 days or whatever it is, and we're going to be ready and give our best every day, not just on the match days, every day in training. And let's give it a right go and enjoy what we're doing, because it's such a privilege to be able to do this every day.
In a season where there is now no relegation from the National League, how do you think that could affect things for teams who either feel they've got nothing to play for or feel they can experiment between now and the end of the season?
It's challenging, and I can understand why people are questioning the integrity of the competition, because obviously it's not a fair level playing ground for everybody, if that makes sense. If people were to play weakened teams, clubs were to play weakened teams, but again, it's others. I'm concerned about what we're going to do, and we're going to play our best team. I think we can get a positive result in every game, and that will mean players coming in and out because of the fixture pile up. But we're going to roll our sleeves up and have a right go for the club.
One more on this, and it's more about things you can control than those you can't. With the North and the South now not playing, you mentioned the fact that it's made things difficult for players to go out and play football. Some have been furloughed. I mean, is that going to continue the state of play there?
It is, I believe, but we're only 15 hours after the vote or whatever it is, 15 hours, 20 hours. So, I need to catch up with our board because we're very much aligned here. It's not a dictatorship. I don't make every decision in the club. It's very much aligned. We have a methodology of how we work, and I work closely, obviously, with John on a day-to-day basis. So it's more catching up with John when we get a chance today, seeing how the ground lies for us, what we want to do. Is there any options for the players that are currently furloughed? Could they go out and play some football? If they can, then we'll never stop them from doing that. And also, it opens up not just for us, for clubs in our division to maybe take the better players or what they perceive to be the better players in the two below on loans. So, it's thrown up some new anomalies, if that makes sense, both ways. Players going out, players coming in. So, it's never dull in the National League.
How likely might any incoming business be at Chesterfield then?
Not at the moment. I'm really happy with what we've got. But like I've always said, if there's a player available that can improve us and is the right character to fit into the culture we're building, then I'm always interested.
Obviously, a couple of weeks without playing has allowed, I guess, some of the guys with niggles and injuries to catch up on those. In terms of fitness, how are you looking ahead of the weekend?
Well, Joe's still obviously got his hamstring, so he's unavailable. Tom's obviously the longer term. Nathan's really close. He's come back into the fold. He's really close, which is really positive for us with his experience, his know-how, but also his weapons. We know what he can do on the pitch, so that's a really good thing for us that he's coming back in, and it gives us an extra threat up at the top of the pitch.
Just one more from me. You had the opportunity to speak to Chesterfield fans in the week. First time you've had the chance to do that, which seems incredible given obviously the circumstances that we're in. How did you find that experience? Yeah,
it's great. It was some really good questions. Some people have done their research on me personally, but also the club. It was fantastic, some of the questions. And what I was really impressed with was the demographic of the support base. I was speaking to a whole range of people in different circumstances, and so younger supporters, older supporters, female, male. It was fantastic, and I just thought the demographic really surprised me on who bought a ticket for the evening. And I think it was a good evening. I think we as a staff got something out of it as well, because we were learning more about the heritage of the club, what it means to people, and hopefully we gave something back to the supporters and they got a bit more of an idea of what we want to achieve short and long term. So yeah, it was a good evening. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure we can do another one in the future.
Thanks for your time, James.
Cheers, thanks.
Hi, James. Good to speak to you again.
Hi.
In terms of coming back into training these last few days, what has it been all about?
A balance, because you can't obviously destroy the boys on the first few days back. There needs to be a balance. So we know we can measure what their distances are in the training, how much of a percentage of their normal load on a game we want to hit them on, and that's all controlled. And fantastic staff I've got around me really control that for me and give me the information that I need live during the session. So it's been about that really. It's been about a balance, and it's making sure we're as fresh as we can be and in as good conditions as we can be in a unique circumstance for Saturday, but also with Tuesday and Saturday in mind as well going forward. It's a hectic period, and the balance of the team's got to be right. That's massive now.
And looking ahead to the next week, it's not the easiest 3 fixtures to come out of isolation to, is it?
No, but these are the games that you want to be involved in. You want to attack these head on and have a right go. And for me, it's going to be really intriguing. I'm sure it's going to be intriguing for the supporters as well to see, okay, can we actually have an imprint on the games against the teams in the upper echelons of the league? Can we actually implement what we've been trying to do over the last 12, 13 weeks sporadically in and out of obviously isolation, I know, but when we've had a run of games, you've seen a steady improvement in the intensity of how we've played. Can we now hit the ground running again, and can we have an influence and really have a say and an imprint on how does the game go tomorrow? Win, lose or draw, it's all about the performances, and we're moving forward. Obviously we want to win every game, but what's the influence we're going to have on the pitch tomorrow as a squad? And that's going to be intriguing, I think.
And like I say, taking everything into account, you've not played a game for 3 weeks and you're just coming out of another isolation period. Would you say that this is your biggest test facing this opponent since becoming manager?
I think if you start thinking like that, you're putting pressure on yourself, you're putting pressure on the players. It's, they're a good team, they've got a good structure, but there's a lot of good teams in this division and play a certain way, and they've got a clear identity how they go. They've got a manager that's done very well in the EFL and is also doing well at Notts County now again this season. So, it's a challenge all round, but it's one we're going to relish, and I know what we can bring to the game tomorrow. And it's, like I said, it's intriguing to see how it will map out and what we're going to do in the game.
And I know that you won't want to give too much away, but could we see Adi Youssef make his debut tomorrow?
We could do. He's available.
You've extended the contract of Lawrence Maguire in the last sort of few weeks. Is anybody else close to perhaps extending their stay at the club as well?
I think I answered that a few weeks back. I think someone asked me, I don't know if it was yourself, Liam, but it's we're only 18 games in, even though we're in February, so it's a little bit of a mismatch there. I think, like I said, we need to play a few more games. I think the performances of many of the players that were long stays here that I came into the change room with, I think they've done well. They've done better than well. I mean, we're averaging 2 points a game, so over a long sustained period of time. So if they can match that up again and those performances continue and we see some consistency, of course, I would be silly not to be looking to extend their stays here. I'm only interested in winning and winning the right way and having a style and making sure we have an influence on every game we play in. And certainly the players that have been in the team for my tenure so far have done very well.
It must be a little bit frustrating for Tom Whelan. Obviously, still not served his 3-match ban, and he's an important player, isn't he?
He is. He's enthusiastic every day, trains really well, great attitude, got a real bright future in the game. I think if we have another isolation period, I need to be in touch with him regularly because he's got too much energy to be sitting at home. He needs to be playing. So and we're seeing that in training the last couple of days. He's really firing around. So he can't wait to get back, and hopefully it's not going to be too long with the 3 games coming up in the next 7 days.
Well, thanks for your time, James,
Thanks.
and I'll see you tomorrow.
Cheers, thank you.
Right, morning, James.
Morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good.
With play only possible for 2 out of the last 8 weeks, do you expect to see any problems relating to stamina, match fitness, potential injuries?
Yeah, there has to be a balance. We have to go with the stats, but also my coach and I, or not just my coach and I, the staff's coach and I as well. We're monitoring that the best we can. We've got the ability to do that thanks to the supporters with the GPS that they contributed to and the sports science equipment. We're having a real good influence every day on what we're doing. So I'm very thankful for that. I haven't forgot that. And we're ticking every box in terms of how they're feeling, their well-being and stuff every day, on top of what they're doing physically. So, we're going to have to really focus on that in the next 14 days, I would say.
Has Curtis Weston's home fitness sessions opened the door for him to perhaps become part of the backroom staff?
No, he's very much a player. He won't be looking to get into any coaching role yet. His physical stats have been phenomenal since I've come in. I can't begin to tell you how well he's done physically for the team and how much influence he's had, positive influence from the centre of the pitch, driving the team forward in and out of possession. I'm really been impressed, and it shows what a professional he is at his age to be able to hit those targets. But it's not a case of just running for the sake of running. You've always got to run and have an influence on the game in and out of possession. So it's not running for running's sake. He's doing it for a reason. It's clear what benchmarks he needs to hit as a player, and he's hitting them for a central midfielder for me week in, week out. So long may that continue, and he's got a good few years ahead of him looking at him physically.
Not to counter, but as near a local derby as you could get, is it a sort of tough game you really need to gauge the progress of the team after all these breaks?
I think there's a lot of outliers into the game, so it's difficult to say to judge too much on this game coming up. it's win at all costs, because we'll always do that every game we go into. Find a way to win. You could balance it. You could see it each way. It could be that Notts County won 4 on the bounce, so they're in their driving seat for the game and they're going in with form. Or we've been in good form ourselves and we've gone into an isolation period and we're coming out fresh. So who knows what the advantage will be? But I'm intrigued by this game tomorrow, and I'm sure the supporters are, like I said, because how can we influence it away from home at one of the promotion contenders?
Do you think this is probably the most challenging match of so far since you've arrived?
There's been many challenges. You could say the first game at Weymouth away, when we were at the back end of the bad form that we had, was a very challenging one, only knowing the players for 48 hours before the game. So there's been different challenges along the way. This one is that we've been in an isolation period, and that may affect us positively or negatively in the game. We'll see. But we've done our utmost to make sure we're as sharp as we can be, mentally and physically, for the challenge tomorrow at Notts County.
With the vote, the table that, as it stands, is likely to change quite a lot, because if Dover decide not to come back, and several others, their records will probably get expunged, and we haven't played a lot of them.
Yeah, who knows what? Just because a club's voted for a certain way doesn't mean that they're going to furlough their players or whatever. We don't know. We only know that Dover have done that so far in our division, and they could reverse that decision, like I said. So it's hypothetical. Who knows? I've just got to focus on what we've got ahead on our path, and we've got Notts County, Altrincham at home, and then Stockport away. So 3 great games to be involved in. Ones we're relishing as a squad. We want to challenge ourselves against the best in the division to benchmark where we're at. But also it's important for me because I want to know where we are. And taking away the isolation period, getting into these fixtures now, I think we'll learn a lot more about, okay, how close are we with this group? Do we need to add people in there, personnel in the future? Is this the group now to take us forward completely with the 21, 22 we've got really in the playing squad? And what do we need to work on the training pitch? Because you can always improve every day, no matter where you are in the league and what you're doing. You're learning every day in your life. So it's great to benchmark yourself against possibly the best in the division.
It's an intriguing situation, isn't it, really? But best of luck anyway for tomorrow, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Morning, James.
Morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Just one question from me about Monday's Q&A with the supporters. One thing that I felt that you could really see was the smiles on people's faces, and you could hear in their voice how positive they're feeling about the club at the moment. Although you must see a lot of that on social media, how nice was it to actually hear that from them, when you can't interact with supporters in the usual way? Yeah,
it's crucial. Football's about camaraderie, and I think we're on a journey together. I think there's a big togetherness now on and off the field, board, into the management team here, into the players, out to the supporters, etc. I think there's the real and the community trust here that do fantastic work. I think everyone's coming together nicely. It's come together quicker than I probably thought. We've really got some momentum going, and what we've got to do, the test is going to be when we have adversity, because every elite sports team in the world, no matter what sport, have adversity, and that's always the challenge. You learn more about people in adversity. Obviously, when everything's going well, everyone would want to jump on the train. But we've got to make sure that we're realistic about, okay, where have we come from the last 13 weeks? We're in a privileged position that we've actually got something to play for. No one really thought we'd have much to play for at this stage of the season. We have. And the games are going to come thick and fast. So I hope everyone continues to enjoy it. We're really enjoying what we're doing here every day. And we just want to make the supporters proud and wear the badge with a pride. Tomorrow, it's a massive challenge because of the isolation against a good opponent, but we're really going to hopefully put more smiles on faces.